Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another webinar by Foci Integrated Communicators. Our topic for today is What's Your Podcast, where you will learn multiple ways to begin your podcast, how to plan them effectively, and understand the technical aspects involved. Now, before we begin, I would like to tell you a little bit more about Foci Integrated and what we exactly do. So, Foci is an 11-year-old marketing communications agency based in Dubai. We support small businesses, startups, and entrepreneurs to manage their marketing functions. Being a marketing agency, we make sure that our ideas help your business gain the momentum you desire, and they help us build strong relations. Now, the main agenda behind this event is to create more awareness about the new products or services in the market. And through these webinars, you can get a chance to connect with our experts and hence build a good relationship with them. Now, in today's webinar, it's beneficial for those people who are very keen to start their own podcast and generate revenue out of it. Before getting started, there are a few house rules to be followed. All participants are kindly requested to be on mute. Commenting is strictly prohibited. And lastly, if you have any queries, there will be a Q&A session at the end. Moving forward, I'd like to introduce our speaker for today, Mr. Sachin Acharya, who has made a significant impact in the world of entrepreneurship and podcasting. He is an esteemed host of the widely known podcast, Be Your Own Boss. His podcasts are streamed across various platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. Well, what makes Sachin truly exceptional is his ability to engage and interview successful entrepreneurs on his show. His fascination with this world had begun when he was quite young, and he realized that entrepreneurship is not just about personal success, but it is also about creating opportunities for others. By engaging conversations with successful entrepreneurs worldwide, Sachin even shares his invaluable insights and stories that inspire and empower aspiring business leaders. In today's time, Sachin's podcast has a loyal following and his impact on the world of entrepreneurship is very evident. So without further delay, I'd like Sachin to take this forward.
Thank you so much, Nishida, for that warm welcome and the nice introduction. I'm going to share my screen and let's get started. Let me know once you see my screen.
Great. Good to go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to this webinar on podcasting. I usually say welcome to the podcast, and now it's like welcome to the webinar on podcasting. And today, having walked this path of podcasting, having done 51 episodes to be precise in the last in the last year, I want to share with you what I have learned, and I want to encourage you to, if this is your path, if you want to start a podcast, here's what I have learned, and let's this is what I want to cover: how to start a podcast, some technical aspects of the podcast. So if you think of Be Your Own Boss podcast as the dish or the restaurant, I'm inviting you into the kitchen of the restaurant now. See how it's cooked and how to be a consistent podcaster. This is very, very important. Consistency in podcasting. So let's get started. And I, through the podcast, if I have any questions, or if I ask you for something, please use the chat box to answer that, and then that way we can interact. Okay, so the first thing, how many of you know Simon Sinek? Please say yes in the chat if you know Simon Sinek. Yes, yes. I see a lot of yeses coming. Simon Sinek is famous for his book Start with a Why, and he's a profound speaker. He speaks. He's a motivational speaker. He always talks about start with a why, and even in your journey of podcasting, that's true. You start with a why. Why do you want to do this podcast, or what's your purpose of the podcast? Now, the purpose could be, different. It could be a varied range of purposes depending on your phase of life, your what you want to share with the world. But I want you to think now, what could be a possible purpose for a podcast? What kind of a topic? So, like, what the podcast that I'm doing is about entrepreneurship. So, my purpose is to encourage entrepreneurs to get started. Can you give me some examples of such purposes that you have for that you can think of to start a podcast? Domain expertise. Yes. So you have an expertise in a particular domain, and you want to encourage, you want to educate people on that particular expertise. Well-being is very important. Well-being of people. So health related or mental health related. Yes. And it could also be about encouraging parenting, technology, brand, art, brand history, and art. So these are the kind of purposes that we have. Once you have a purpose, okay, that defines what your content is going to be and who you're doing it for. Podcasting it's simply like standing on top of a tower and shouting. If you know whom you're shouting to, if you know who you're calling, okay, you know what to shout out there. This is just like in the older days where at the time of the adhan, okay, the guy used to go there and shout and call for the prayer. This is exactly, he knew who he was calling, and he knew what's the purpose. We need to know what our purpose is, what our content is, and based on that you need to know who your audience is. Based on that you decide your content. You decide if this is your if this is your purpose, like in the case of Ananta said, parenting and technology. So who's the audience? Parents, children, and probably also teachers, right? So now then you decide if these are your audience, teachers, right? And based on that you decide who is going to be my guest, and that depends on who do they want to hear from. Because as a podcaster we bring a few people to the world. So if the world cannot reach out to them directly, okay, Anupama is an entrepreneur. She has tons of experience on entrepreneurship. She knows about marketing. But if there are questions that the people want to ask Anupama, I represent those people, and I'm asking Anupama on my podcast on when I'm interviewing her, right? So to interview the guests, you need to know who those guests are, and that will depend on who your audience is and who they want to listen to. If aspiring entrepreneurs want to listen to successful entrepreneurs or even failed entrepreneurs, teachers they want to listen to, or parents they want to listen to teachers, or parents and teachers they want to listen to industry experts. So you decide based on that your criteria for this. Now in my case I have a very set criteria, and I share this criteria with anyone who says that I want to share like bring a guest to your show. I say this is my criteria, that if they have as long as they have worked as an employee for a certain number of years, and then they have transitioned to be an entrepreneur, and they have been an entrepreneur for a certain number of years, so then they have something to share on this one. So this should be my criteria. I don't want to bring in someone who has inherited a business, but that's not, because that's not a starting point, and then people won't be able to connect. You see, once you have your criteria and you write down your checklist of a criteria of these are the people and they should meet these criteria, you share that, it becomes easier and actually also difficult to find the guests, because only few people will qualify in that check all the boxes. But that's the process. You create the process of create a criteria list, and then check with your guests and make sure that your guests meet those criteria. Now in business usually we say that we have to be aware of what the competition is doing so that we are better than them. But here competition, well, podcasting is fairly a new new domain right now, right? I mean, I think if we look back like 20 years from now, there were no podcasts. So 20, 30 years from now, there were no podcasts here. So we are like the kind of the first generation podcasters here. So competition is important because competition is our teacher. Learn who's doing, find out who's doing the kind of podcast that you want to do, or if any other type of podcast, but still if they're doing podcasts, then find out who are those people who are doing the podcast, and watch their content, listen to their content, and then learn from them, because there is so much that they have already done and they have already experimented, so we can learn faster from them. So that's on the competition. Now, once we decide on the content and this is the kind of podcast we want to do, then comes the format of the podcast. Now there are audio podcasts and there are audio visual podcasts. Like in I wish somebody told me this when I started, because when I started as only on audio, and later on when I heard the feedback from people, and that's one of the things that we want to cover, is that you listen to your audience and listen to the feedback that they give you. So one of the feedback that I got was that it's nice to listen, but then I get lost when I listen. I want to watch the interview, and that's where I also realized that competition is also doing that. I watched other podcasters and I saw that they're also doing video content. So then I decided video as well. And you can decide, depending on your content, you can decide whether you want to go for audio visual or just visual. And you also decide on what your ideal length is going to be. There is a misconception that if it's too long, people will not listen to it. Or if it's too long, people will not watch it, right? People say, oh, it's a 1 hour episode. Who's going to sit down and watch for 1 hour? But let me ask you this. How many of you watch Netflix? Raise your hands if you watch Netflix. How many hours is a movie? Right? So it's not about, we all do, right? And so it's not about that we do sit in front of, we actually binge watch and we watch the whole weekend sitting in front of it, forget 1 hour, right? So it's about the content. It's about how engaging we can keep the content, right? 1 hour episode is a normal length of a podcast. 1 hour, there are podcasts which are even 2 hours long, 3 hours long. So as depending on the content, you have to justify the content. You have to do justice to the content and not rush through it. So as long as that is your content is complete and comes as a complete package, you can keep that as the length, but be consistent with your length. If your length has the range, then keep that range. It depends on the passion to know exactly, it depends on the passion. And so once people like know that your podcast is usually around this length, like my podcast is about 45 minutes to an hour. Sometimes it is a little more, sometimes it's a little less, but usually it's in that range of 45 minutes to 60 minutes, 45 to 60 minutes length. So you can decide what your average length is going to be and then keep your content accordingly. And keep your publishing schedule. So what that means is you have to be consistent with when you release your episodes and keep it exactly in that in that sequence. So for example, the Be Your Own Boss podcast, a new episode is released every Saturday 6 a.m. Dubai time, and this is consistent. Like no so if you keep that consistency, people know when to expect your podcast. If we keep it, and this is one of the common mistakes that new podcasters make, is that they make a content and they just release it, and then they make the next content and they release it. And then it depends. Now we have like so many things happening in our life, so we cannot be ready with the immediate next content at the exact same time. So scheduling is important. And to schedule, there are tools available. So YouTube allows you to schedule and upload, right? You upload and you can schedule when it goes public. All the podcast platforms, there is a platform called anchor.fm, which is now changed to Podcaster. Okay, Podcasters, it's an app. You can download this app called Podcasters, and or you can just Google it, and you can do it online. Podcasters is the app, is the website, which has connections to all the podcast platforms. And podcasters have this facility of this feature of scheduling your podcast, your release, the next release. So you can today you can upload content for the next 3 weeks and schedule it for the next 3 weeks. Automatically, it will be released the next 3 weeks, right? And similarly, on LinkedIn, you can post your LinkedIn post and you can schedule it, right? So you don't have to post it immediate as and when. You can always schedule it in advance. I do that a lot. I mean, I schedule my episode release, like the episode that is going to be released tomorrow, Saturday. Tomorrow is a Saturday, 6 a.m. So there is an episode releasing tomorrow. This episode I already uploaded on Wednesday, and I scheduled it that on Saturday morning this episode should be released on YouTube and on all the other podcast platforms. And then comes, if you want to schedule in advance, okay, you need to have episodes in advance. So if we roll back a little bit, and if you look at the starting point, today you decide that you want to start a podcast, okay? You decide your content and everything, and you start interviewing people, create your content, and keep your videos ready at least 5 to 6 episodes in advance. So now you have the content ready, then you can post one today, and the next one next week, and the next one the week after, and you can decide your schedule. I mean, weekly is not the only schedule. Some people do a daily podcast. Some people do a short daily, like a 2-minute podcast every day, or some people do like a monthly podcast. It's up to you. Weekly is kind of the most common schedule. To do that, you need to have an episode bank. By episode bank, I mean uh, have some episodes lined up that you've already already recorded. And so these are, we've already spoken about the podcast platforms. So once you upload your episodes, once you upload your content on YouTube and on social media and on and on the podcast platforms, that then comes the role of social media, because people may not always go to the podcasting platforms to look for your next episode. So we need to promote it, and there are organic ways of promoting it. There are paid promotions. Okay, now if you want to stand out in the in the world of podcast and have your podcast visible to people, there is competition. When we post a video on YouTube, the world is our competition, because everybody is posting videos on YouTube. It's not just the podcasters anymore. So how do we stand out from anybody who's like, some people are making just videos on what they're eating, some people are making videos on random things, and then there are the contents which are like podcasts, or sometimes there are educational content on YouTube. So the way to stand out is reach out to people, reach out to the people that will consume this kind of a content, and that can happen through organic and through paid promotion. So you reach out to through social media, reach out to many people. And what to outsource? I want to ask you this question here, like what do you think is the first thing you want to outsource in this, what we've just spoken about so far? What aspect of this should be outsourced? Editing the videos. Yes. Any other thoughts? Graphics. Yes. because these are paid promotions. Yes, you can, and the whole promotion part, even organic and paid promotions, you can outsource that to experts. Now, 4C is such an organization that can help you promote your content, be your marketing department, right? Your outsourced marketing department. So you can outsource your the marketing part to 4C or other. You can outsource it to experts who can do it better and saves you time. Because in the beginning, we want to do everything on our own. Like all entrepreneurs, when we start, we want to do everything on our own. But at the once we start, and there'll come a time when we have to make time for ourselves and let go of the things that others can do better. So for better quality picture, and that's another thing that I want to touch upon, is the kind of the audio quality and the video quality. It's so important for the viewers. If the video quality is not good, people won't watch for too long. And so to do that, and to enhance the quality of the output in total, it's better that you outsource some of your work to the experts. Now let's talk about the technical aspects here about podcasting. I mean, the behind the scenes, like I said, the kitchen of the podcast here. uh, of course, the first thing you need for doing a podcast is a mic, right? You need to have a mic to do a podcast, but then you don't need to have an expensive mic. You need to have a good functional mic that can capture the voice properly. For me, I'm using this noise cancellation headset that I use. I use this mainly for the mic that it has, because it has good quality. It captures the voice correctly, nicely. This is Sony MX1003. I'm gonna put that in the chat. Sony MX1003. I bought this many years ago, but the voice quality of it is good. I tested many different. I tried this earphone here, Huawei earphone. I tried this. The voice quality was good, but then the problem with this, and here comes the very practical technical thing. Let me show you this. If I wear this and I do the podcast, okay, the mic is here hanging, right? Okay, if the mic is hanging, in while talking, we tend to shake our head sometimes, right? We tend to talk, we go a bit dramatic, and we tend to shake our heads. When we shake our heads, when we move our when I used to move my face a little bit this side, the voice quality, the volume was lower. So and the moment I get a little closer to this, it was too loud. Now with this, I don't have that problem. This is the reason why, I mean, no matter where I shake, the whole head shakes and the mic shakes with it. So I don't have this problem here. This is the reason why I use the headset that stays on my head. A lot of people use an external mic, but let me tell you something. If you notice the equipment of Ranveer Allahabadia, okay, how many of you know Ranveer Allahabadia, by the way? Beer Biceps, the guy who does the Beer Biceps podcast. Kashish, yes. Uh, if for those who you don't know, in India, Ranveer Allahabadia is the top podcaster. He's got like millions of views, millions of subscribers, and he interviews top celebrities. And now he has a mic in his interviews, and I closely watch him. Remember, watch competition and learn from them. So he's my guru. He doesn't know he's my guru, because I watch his videos and I learn from it. And I see that he has a podcast mic, which has like this big mic with a big setup, much, but definitely very expensive. And along with that, he also has a lapel mic, a clip mic. So the audio is captured from there. So it's important to have a lapel mic. So And I'm gonna enter the name of a brand here in the chat. Boya. Boya is a good brand. It has good quality mics, so you can take that, or just Google for other brands. I mean, I use Boya, that's why I know. Now, in my podcast, there are two types of interviews that I do. Right, I do online interviews where I'm like Ananta. I did an online interview with him. So we use I use this headset and my webcam. The webcam that I'm using right now is a Microsoft webcam, so it's really a good quality webcam. So just look for a good quality. When these are places where you don't want to cut costs, because you want to invest in a good quality camera, in a good quality mic. And when it comes to in-person videos, like we did with Anupama's interview, it was in the desert. We did an in-person interview, and for that you need a tripod and a good camera. Now, in the beginning, you may not want to invest in a proper in a DSLR camera, but you can use your smartphone, and smartphones have good cameras these days. So you can use a smartphone. Now, like when I did Anupama's episode, that was with one camera. It was just one camera focused on both of us, and then it could capture us. But now I use three cameras. I use three tripods, and the technique for that is one camera focused on the guest and the interviewer both, bringing both of them in the frame. That's the front view. And one from the side focused on the guest, and one from the other side focused on the interviewer. You capture the video from all three cameras, and then you bring them all together, and that's where the editing part comes. You leave it to the experts to edit that video in such a way that they combine the voice. The audio is taken from one of those videos, and all three videos are put together, and the frame changes. It's important in a video that the frame changes frequently, because the human mind is like, I mean, you all know about the human mind. I don't want to go deep into the psychology part here, but then it's like the attention span is less. So if the frame changes, there is something in our brain that triggers that, oh, there is something interesting, and that it pays attention if the screen changes. So that's why it's good to change the frame, and record it. And if it's an online one, you can't do much about it. Podcast script. You need to have the content of your the structure of your interview in advance. You need to have that ready. It's not a scripted. I mean, the whole podcast doesn't have to be scripted, but it has to be. You need to have a structure around it. You need to know what questions you want to ask, right? And those of you who've been on my show have already asked me in advance to share the questions, and you must have noticed, and I said that the questions, I do have a list of questions, but it's not a script. I asked the questions based on, I've got 27 questions that I have listed down, that these are the things I want to ask the guests, but I don't ask all the 27 questions. It depends on the flow, it depends on the conversation, but you still need to have those 27 so you know what to ask. So this is kind of preparation that needs to happen in advance, right, before the conversation. And you can have one set of questions that you can ask everybody, or you can have a customized set of set of questions depending on the target guests. But consistency in that is important. You need to have a structure to your an opening, a body, and a closing to your podcast as well. Okay, we've spoken about the recording equipment, and we've spoken about the audio quality. And now let's talk about the tools. And this is also comes under the technical aspects of podcasting, and that is the editing tools. So I use for my audio editing, I use Audacity. I use V.io. V.io is my favorite tool. Okay, And I believe in investing where it's needed. So I have invested in Veed.io. I've taken a subscription of Veed.io. So I'm not using the free version of it, but even the free version is like a trial version, I believe. But try out this website called Veed.io, and it allows you to um, remove the background noise, remove the if you want to remove the background of the video, you can do that as well. But in general, it's like it's a cut and you can move clips around. You can also have subtitles for your clips. So the video will, or I mean the software automatically listens to your content and it creates the subtitles. And it so you can have different kind of subtitles. If you've seen in my reels, in my posts, the YouTube shorts and in the reels, there are subtitles, and these subtitles are created in v.io. And this is what I meant by, welcome to the Be Your Own Boss kitchen. So this, I'm showing you now how it is cooked. So the subtitles are created in v.io. I use Canva, and I think Canva is quite very popular. Most of you may already know about Canva. So for image editing, I use Canva. In fact, the creation of thumbnail is something that I don't do it myself. I outsource it. I used to do it earlier, but then I outsource it to someone who does a fantastic job at it. So I have to, and he coordinates with with the guests and gets their for photographs, and he does it. His name is Manish Pandit. He is awesome at creative work. So yes, definitely shout out to Manish Pandit. And so if you want to start a podcast, and if you want your content to be taken care of, like as in your video editing, your creating thumbnails, your website, your social media posting, Manish Pandit is the guy to go. And other than that, like I said, we need to have like an episode bank. We also need to have a pipeline of guests to interview. And for that, I use Calendly. Calendly is a tool. It's felt exactly like this, like how I've put it here on the slide. Calendly. So Google Calendly, and if you haven't used Calendly, you're missing out. It's a, you can set up your profile, you can set up your schedule in that, and it gives you a link. So I just send my link. I send my link to people, and people just they can click on that, and then they can see what dates, what time I'm available. They can click on it. It automatically updates their calendar and my calendar as well. Excuse me. So v.io, Calendly, Chipchamp is a free Microsoft. It's a free application from Microsoft. It allows you to also edit videos. It's fantastic. Chipchamp, Audacity, vidIQ is an application that helps you to look for keywords that you should use while promoting your content on social media. And these keywords are it's very important, because this is how this is good for the SEO part of it. So I for the social media promotion and this part and the technical aspects of managing the keywords, managing the SEO, I outsource it to Manish Pandit. He does that for me. Okay. And so we've spoken about the number of, like, you need to have the episodes in advance. You need to record episodes in advance before you publish. You need to have episodes scheduled in advance so that you know the next few days or next few months whom you're going to interview. And then continuously keep that pipeline on, get more guests, attend, find the guests that you want to bring on your show, find the kind of guests, because you've decided based on the content that you want, you decided what kind of guests you want to bring on your show. Find those guests, and then keep them engaged, bring them, schedule them. And once you have the videos, once you interview them, keep the videos ready for yeah, definitely, I'll share Manish Pandit's contact here. In fact, let me do that right now. This is so important. Here you go. That's his number. I've just made Manish Pandit's number public. All right, that's his number. So please reach out to him, and well, you can tell him that I gave you his number. So you keep your video content ready, keep your episodes in advance, and then upload them as a schedule, as a set schedule. There are certain places where you can schedule. So YouTube, on all the so podcasters, YouTube, and which podcasters connects with all the other platforms like Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. All those things are connected with podcasters. So you can just upload on podcasters and it will go there. So those two are schedulable. You can schedule it there. LinkedIn is schedulable, and for the rest you have to upload on a like on other social media. Like if you want to post on WhatsApp, post on Facebook, post on Instagram, you have to do it on your own. And I think there are some other tools. I haven't explored those tools. If there are tools to even schedule your post on the other social media, you can explore that as well. And in addition to this, I just wanted to share a few other tips here. Okay, so one is, before you start your podcast, do a test recording. I think Anupama must have experienced this when we started the video shoot. Before we shot the video, we sat there, we put the camera, we sat there, and we just said a few lines. And I said cut, and I went and checked the video, checked the audio, make sure it's correct, because you don't want to spend an entire interview and then realize that your audio was not captured correctly. And it's important to have a set intro and an outro. So there is like before you either you can shoot the intro and outro later, or you can keep it as part of, you can shoot it as part of the conversation. So I do it as part of the conversation. Right from in the beginning, I say one line. What's that one line that I say usually? Anyone?
Ladies and gentlemen,
Ladies
boys
and
and
gentlemen,
girls.
boys and girls. So, and apart from that, so that's kind of the signature style, right? But the important part about the intro is you talk about who the guest is, you introduce the guest, you talk about the you talk about what the guest, what the viewer is going to get out of watching this interview right in the beginning. A lot of the advanced podcasters I've seen, they do their intro and outro later in a different setting. So then they just come and say, in this interview, you're going to learn this and this. And then they just say, here you go, watch the interview. And then they play the whole interview. And then at the end, they again do an outro. So they just say a thank you and a goodbye and things like that. And now, before you publish your content, it's important that you take the consent from the guests. So this is something that a lot of people don't do, but it's important because the guest has spoken, you and the guest have had a conversation on the podcast, and it was a candid conversation. So some things they may want to exclude from the episode. So it's better to share that content with them and say, this is what I'm going to publish. After, I always share my final edit, like the final cut, with the guest. And when they tell me about, if they want to edit out something, I do that. Otherwise, it's good to go, and then you publish. Now, when we publish on the podcast platforms, that's audio. There's a picture there and there is an audio. So that's people who are subscribed to you will listen to it there. But when it comes to YouTube, the the content is so driven by the thumbnail of the video. Thumbnail is the picture that comes before you watch the video, right? So when you're scrolling through the YouTube videos, the picture that comes is so important, because looking at that picture, it's visual, right? People have visual memory, and when they look at that picture, they want to. Uh, that's what when they decide should they watch this video or not. So thumbnail is very, very important. Like I said, I outsource my thumbnail creation to Manish Pandit, but it's if you can come up with a creative thumbnail, that's good, but it's important to keep it consistent. You need to have your branding on it and have a template, so that your when people see a thumbnail, they know this is a Be Your Own Boss podcast video. And listen to the the audience's responses and reactions, right? And this is like I said in the beginning, that when I started, people said that, you should also do a YouTube. I mean, you should also put it on YouTube. And I used to think at that time that to do it on YouTube, I need to have a studio. I need to record a video in a proper setting and everything. And then I realized that no, I can. I mean, the the platform. By the way, there is one platform that I didn't mention about in among the tools, and that is StreamYard. I use StreamYard for my online videos. So StreamYard is and this is how it's spelled: StreamYard. Excellent platform for online video recording. So, and then I started doing it on StreamYard. I used to do it on Zoom, but the quality of StreamYard is way better than Zoom. So I shifted to StreamYard. It's funny, we're doing this on Zoom and I'm saying I'm talking about Zoom. So, and then I mean, promotions and outsourcing. I mean, you have to promote your content, you have to outsource whatever is can be done better by other people. And we've already spoken about consistency. Now, the important part of consistency is to have a set schedule. Every Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. If that's your day, keep at it, and then consistently keep it. Go on mute, please. All right. So keep consistent. Stick to your schedule. Keep a consistent schedule, and having an episode bank helps being consistent, because you already have episodes in advance to post. And because remember, there can always be situations where you're not able to do any recording at all. When I was a couple of I think it was in August, when I went to India for a couple of weeks. I just did one interview there, but usually I do like 2 or 3 interviews in a week. I post one interview in a week, but I record 2 or 3 interviews in a week. So that way I have episodes in advance planned and recorded. As of now, I have episodes already scheduled till for the second week of November, and we are still in September right now. So this is important, managing the challenges. And there have been so many so many learnings, so many so many mistakes I've made, and I would like to share one such mistake with you, so that you don't have to make that mistake. Learn from mine. So one of the things on a podcast or on any branding is the music of that this, right? So like in my case, there is always a music that comes as a specific Be Your Own Boss podcast music. And I chose a music. Earlier I had chosen a music which I liked a lot. I purchased the music, and still I was getting copyright claims on that on YouTube. The moment I would upload the video, I would get a copyright claim, because the music I had purchased was, apparently that purchase only allowed me to own that music to listen, but not to use in a video content. So be very careful. There are copyright free music available only take that, or consult someone who is an expert in copyright. And Walid is here. Walid is expert in that field. So consult him before you purchase the copyright, or purchase the content, or purchase the music. So, and then take inspiration from competition, because like I said, I listen to Beer Biceps. I listen to the to Ranveer Alabadia. I watch his videos all the time, because I learned this technique about having the three cameras from him. And that's how I got so I use three smartphones, but I still use three cameras. So that's all in terms of the what I wanted to share, and I want to open the floor now for any questions, answers, any comments.
Can we stop the screen sharing, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
So at the outset, I have a comment to make. It's a fantastic insights you have given to this entire podcasting, allowing us to enter your kitchen. So that was fantastic. You have given good details. So which was very, very useful information, which probably I didn't know. So I am quite delighted to know about this process of this podcasting and all. So one question which I have in mind, Sachin, is, do you think if the content is something which is exquisite or something different, would it make a podcast a hit, or how do something which nobody has touched upon, a subject, something like that? Will that improvise the podcasting reach? What is your opinion?
I think that's a good question. I mean, if you have a content that nobody is talking about, but if people want to, if there is an interest in people to want to know about it, and this can only come from a study, from a survey, right? Only when you interact with people and understand from them, only when you interact with people and understand from them if they are interested in this kind of a subject, and then that will give us that, okay, there is a demand, there is no supply, and the market is yours.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, Walid.
Session, thank you so much. It's amazing session. Thank you
pleasure.
for your insights about the beginning, about how you prepare. Now we know the kitchen beyond be your own boss. It is not an easy task. I thought it is very easy, but when you release it, oh, it's amazing, really. I would like to thank Obama also for her efforts for bringing such amazing topics and webinars to the platform of 4C integrated communicators. Session, I was thinking that I would start a podcast for my own passion related to the brand histories. And what is your advice?
I think your content, or it's very it's a very particular niche, about brand, about copyright, and about the in your own domain. Now you have to think about, are you going to keep it as a monologue and share your knowledge, or do you want to invite people and interview experts in your field? I think there are very few people that I know. I mean, I just know one person. Walid is the only person that I know who knows about this particular topic. I don't know anybody. If somebody comes to me about and says that, if I want to register my brand, the only person I'm gonna refer to is you. So there may be other experts like you. So you may want to decide, you may want to consider that and see if you want to interview other people and share their knowledge, or do you want to share what you have. But when you decide as your own knowledge, when you want to share your own knowledge, right, after a certain point, there will be an end to it, because you will share all that you know. You may prepare your notes and then you will share, but after a certain point you'll have to expand by inviting other people, because when you invite other people there is no end to it. And when you're sharing your own self as a monologue, there is an end to it.
You
Like
mean
this
that
comes to an end. Yeah.
you mean that the stories will be different from different people, from different experience, different exposures. Yes, I got your point. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you
You're
so much.
welcome.
Anyone has any questions?
I think Kashish had her virtual hand up. Kashish,
Okay.
do you have any question?
Hi, my name is Kashish, and I had a question that if you are ready with all these stuff, especially on the podcast, can you guide us on the revenue part of it? Like, how can we generate revenue if we are totally fresher into this subject?
Sure. Thanks, Kashish, for that question. I think that's an important part which I didn't touch upon, because revenue is it's a quite a distant thing in the podcasting world. You don't make money. You don't make money in the beginning. You create content, you keep at it and consistently keep posting. There are uh, three potential channels of revenue, but all of these will take time. Number one is YouTube money. Once you become a YouTuber and you have certain number of views and certain number of subscribers, certain hours of views, YouTube starts, and it's called monetization, right? Your channel reaches monetization, and you can start. YouTube starts paying you. So that's one way of generating revenue out of podcasts. But it's a lot. It takes time. And the second is through sponsorship, through ads. So, and that again, it depends on the number of views. If your view if your reach is large enough, people would want to sponsor your episodes and say that you can say this episode is sponsored by this company, and then you can talk about them, and then you get sponsorship money. Simple, like normal advertising world, right? Sponsorship. And the third is you can start charging guest fees. Once you reach a certain point where you're again, like, you're popular enough, then your reach, and guaranteed that you're doing a service to the guest by bringing them on board. When your guest comes, like, let's say if a guest comes on the Be Your Own Boss podcast, and after coming on the show they become popular and everybody knows about them, it's a service that I have done for them, right? And if there is a service that I have done for them, I deserve to be paid for that service. So this is the third revenue stream. So these are the revenue streams, but the revenue streams will only start once you consistently deliver for a long time. And this is like a Chinese bamboo tree. You keep, the seed of a Chinese. Have you heard about the Chinese bamboo tree story? Right? So the seed stays inside for 15 years, and then for 5 years it stays inside, and then within 15 days the whole bamboo shoot goes up, and it grows into a big tree. So that's the revenue path for podcasting. Same for YouTube as well. Any YouTube content, if you create, you become a YouTuber, it's the same thing, because you're a content creator.
Thank you so much. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Okay, it's 5 o'clock.
Any more questions? Any more questions? Because we have touched 5 o'clock, and I think, Sachin, this is the last one from me, but I don't have a question. In fact, I have a little bit of more information. Yeah.
Yes, Anupama.
Yes, and this is for the audience. We have had Sachin. Sachin is known by Be Your Own Boss. But how many of you know that he stands in the first 10 podcasters in Dubai? Be Your Own Boss is in the first 10 or the top 10 podcast in Dubai. He's soon approaching his first year anniversary and his big plans in place. So can we hear a little more about those plans, Sachin?
First of all, thank you so much. I think it's all of your love and support that Be Your Own Boss podcast has been able to reach this milestone. We've just completed 50 episodes, and now another milestone is 1 year. So on the completion of 1 year, it's I would like to, I think it's 50, 52, 53 episodes. By then, it'll be 53 episodes done. And yeah, I want to give my gratitude, sincerest thanks to all of you for your support. And yeah, we should have a big blast. We should have a big celebration.
So we are expecting some more exciting news on that aspect.
Yes, there's some
And-
exciting news coming your way.
Great. And for those who want to revisit this conversation, after this session, this will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel, and the link shared with you, so you can go visit again, because whatever Sachin has shared is so valuable. And if you are a beginner, you would want to go and check it out again and again and get yourself aligned to the best practices when it comes to podcasting. One more question for you, Sachin, before we wind up.
Sure.
You spoke about revenue. Is there something that we can run a podcast on subscription? Is that a viable option?
I haven't tested that. I haven't tested that option yet. I mean, when there are, I don't know how this it can work, because when there are like podcast and content available for free, I don't know how much that would work. I haven't explored that option at all yet.
Thank you, Sachin, and over to you, Nishita.
Thank you so much, Sachin. It was a very insightful session, which I'm sure helped everyone out here as well. And as Anupama mentioned, that the recording will be sent to all of you all, that is who has registered. Everyone will get the link for the recording, and at the same time, we will be posting it on our social media platforms as well. So if you feel that you have missed out on anything, or if you want a recap on what Sachin has provided us with, well, you can always go on our social media platform and you can check it out over there. So thank you so much. Happy weekend. Thank you, Sachin.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Have a good day.
Sachin.
Happy weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank
thank
you. Bye-bye.
all of you for being here.